Childfree Goddess Podcast. Very tropical today. As I promised in the last episode, this is the first time that I am doing video podcast. And this is the second episode that I do a video style. And as you can see already, my circumstances have changed, which is beautiful because I get to have fun doing this, which is actually what I wanted to do. I need this to feel fun and flexible because that's how my life is and that's how I want my life to be. So here we are in beautiful tropical weather coming to you in the Childfree Goddess podcast energy. So I think today, actually, this is the perfect setting for the topic that I'm bringing. But before we get into that, special announcement, the Childfree Goddess is now on Substack. I am trying to find different ways to show up, to share what I have to say, what I love to talk about in different ways. And it's not always easy. It takes time and effort and understanding all these different platforms. But I am loving Substack so far. I have to experiment and explore it more, but I love writing, and I have been writing the Childfree Goddess Diaries, which is a weekly email that I send to all of you, my community, and having a place where I can actually archive all of these letters, love letters, Childfree Goddess letters, is actually very valuable because I get so many responses from you all to these emails, sharing your perspective, answering some of the questions that I ask in the emails. And I thought it would be very valuable if we have a space where we can all comment, because I receive all these replies and I always end up feeling like other women would benefit from hearing these perspectives. So hopefully in Substack, we can build that place where we can comment and have conversations and also go back to some of these letters that maybe you have missed in the past. So check out childfreegoddess.substack.com for more to come. You can find the podcast there too. It's everything in one place, which I think is very useful and helpful. So subscribe. Today's topic, it's something that I feel can be a little taboo still in the child-free community or for child-free women. And that is the fear or thoughts of regret of your child-free choice. I have to say, as a very confident child-free woman, life coach, content creator, all the things, I also experience thoughts of regret. Would I regret this decision? I think this is a fear that is very normal for all of us to have, but especially, in my opinion, and in my experience, personally, and coaching and talking to so many women, late 30s and early 40s is such a challenging time for a child-free woman to cope with these thoughts and these doubts and these questions, because this is a time of our lives where a lot of our friends are getting pregnant or having kids as their last chance to do so. And actually, last week, I have a dear friend calling me to announce that she's pregnant. And I obviously feel very happy for her because I know this is something that she really, truly wanted. And she's 39, so she feels like, I need to do it. It's now or never. And she was grappling with the question for years. Being a mother is something that she truly wanted, but she had doubts, she had fears. She wasn't sure if that was the right path for her. And so she really had to, she and her husband had to really think about this and go through their own journey of asking themselves this question. But they decided that they actually wanted to. And so they've been trying and they finally were able to get pregnant. And she called me to announce it. And I was obviously happy for her. I congratulated her. But I also, at the same time, couldn't help but feel a little lonely in my choice because I've noticed, especially in the last year, these last 375 days, I've had at least 7 women in my different friends circles either giving birth, getting pregnant, or finally deciding that they want to have kids after being on the fence for the longest time. And getting all of this news did bring or have brought this feeling of kind of loneliness in my choice, because I noticed like so many women around me are actually deciding this. And one, this means that there will be less women that I get to share my experience as a child-free woman with. And second, what does that say about my choice, right? What does that say about me going against the grain because I'm in the minority? Does this mean that my choice is not right, that I haven't thought this through, that, I will regret it? And those are thoughts that I don't want to have, that I know for the most part are not necessarily logical, but they come, they visit me, that it happens. And I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm far from the only one, because every other child-free woman I talk to have experienced it too at some point or experienced it. And so I thought that this is a topic that, sometimes is hard to talk about because we don't want to sound like we are questioning ourselves, especially because sometimes that gives some people the right to question us, right? Or to be like, oh, see, I told you, maybe you should have a kid. And we don't want to be put in that position. But I think it's so important to have safe space to talk about this and be honest with ourselves and with each other, because it's real, it's real and it's valid. For me personally, I feel like the fact that so many people around my same age range are getting pregnant, giving birth, deciding to have kids does, put some sort of questioning in my head, right? Because I am in that range where I could still have kids if I wanted to. And so having these mirrors, of these sisters, these women, for me to see myself and ask myself these questions, while it can be hard sometimes and challenging, I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful because I get to explore my own thoughts. And at the end of the day, I come out feeling even more confident in my choice. It doesn't happen necessarily right away, but when I give myself the opportunity to go through these thoughts, to feel the feelings, whether it's, frustration, sadness, questioning, doubts, whatever it is, I come on the other side with a better understanding of myself, more compassion, and again, more trust in myself. So I don't think bypassing these thoughts, these doubts is a good thing. I think it's important to acknowledge them, to feel them, to stay with them for as long as we need to, and be real about it. And finding safe spaces and women that we can actually talk about these things without being judged, right? Or without being questioned is so important. And I don't think that's easy to find. I hope this community feels like that to you. But I know in-person communities, sometimes it's hard to find, especially depending on where you live and the people that you surround yourself with. And independently of the people that you surround yourself with and where you live, the media, right? Social media, movies, magazines, everywhere. We see more and more people having kids even later in life. How many actresses are giving birth now in their 50s, or whether they're doing it through surrogacy. Um, it continues to get like later in life, which also makes me feel like, when is the cutting point? When does this end? And the thing is that it doesn't end, because I have talked to women in this beautiful community that are in their late 50s, and they struggle too, because the women that they get to talk to or that they try to build community with are grandmothers now, and that's all they talk about, and that's what their world revolve around, and it's hard to connect with those women for them. So I don't think it ever ends. So I think it's worth it to accept that, accept that the choice that we're making as child-free women is not the most common choice, even though it's growing, right? The percentage of women that are deciding not to have kids, but it's not the most common choice. And the pressure to change our minds will always be there, right? Will always be there. The pressure to make our world revolve around kids or caring for kids, you know. So I think it's important that we understand that these thoughts and these feelings and these questionings and these doubts can come up, you know, and will come up throughout our child-free life. And that's okay. And that's okay, you know, because this is society we live in. And the messaging will always be there. So having women, finding accounts, finding community that show you that there's still other people that think the same way as you do, that, you know, you can feel seen and validated is so important. Also, to me personally, I feel like hormones have a lot to do with it. You know, I'm not a hormones expert, but I know that I have a reproductive system that, you know, wants me to get pregnant every month. You know, my body gets ready for it and wants it. And I'm sure that affects how I feel and how I think and, you know, my moods and all of that. So that's something really hard to fight against in a way when it's a chemical thing, it's a biological thing. Um, so pressures from outside, friends, family, society, internal biological pressures, and also, you know, our own curiosity. I don't know about you, but I, for example, I've always known that I don't want to have kids. I don't want to raise kids. I'm proudly child free, but I've always had this curiosity, maybe fantasy, we could call it, of experiencing pregnancy, which I know is so weird, but hey, no judgment zone. We're honest here. Um, I know for a lot of women, that's like the scariest thing and the thing that they would not want to experience out of the whole journey of having kids. That's the one thing that most women are like the most scared about. But for me, for some reason, it's the opposite. Like if I could experience pregnancy and then not have to experience anything else, birthing the kid or raising the kid, that would be probably ideal, but I know that's not how it works. And the reason I say this is because I've always found so fascinating the process of having a human being grow out of nothing inside of you. It sounds like such an alien experience, you know? It sounds so weird and so fascinating at the same time to me. Having a kid growing up inside of you, like being formed, like a whole heart and organs and brain, and you know, it sounds crazy to me. And it sounds something like so unique, so alien, so, you know, it's a miracle. It truly is. I mean, it's science, but it's a miracle. And so I've always been fascinated by that. And I have had to go through my own grief process of accepting and understanding that that's not something that I will ever get to experience. Something that I'm actually curious about, something that I find fascinating. And I have to, you know, be okay with the fact that that's not going to happen, right? I will never get to know that version of myself. I would never get to have that experience. And that's okay. That's okay. We don't get to have every experience in life, and that's okay. It's not only about having kids or getting pregnant. It's about every other experience in life that we don't get to have. Another feeling that also visit me sometimes is loneliness, especially when I see family members, friends, growing up with their own families and their kids. Especially now when I see my sister with my nieces and nephew. Now that they're older, my niece is going to college, my nephew is in high school, my youngest niece is in middle school, and I see them sometimes having, these family gatherings and experiences and activities. And sometimes it makes me feel a little lonely, right? It makes me feel like, wow, is this something that I will regret not having in the future? And again, totally valid, normal feelings to have. That doesn't mean that I don't love and want my child-free life. So these are some taboo topics that I feel like I wanted to talk about because even though I show up very confidently and talk about being child-free and all the beautiful things that we get to do and fun things that we get to do, these thoughts are real. These feelings are real and are valid, and we are human. We are women. We get to feel these feelings. We get to experience these thoughts. That's okay. That's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think what's wrong is the fact that we don't have spaces and people to be honest about them without feeling bad or wrong or, like we shouldn't say these things. I think saying them out loud is actually very liberating, right? Is admitting that we experience certain things and that we're human. And that doesn't mean that we don't value or enjoy the choices that we made. The last thing that I feel comes up to me during this stage of my life when it comes to feelings of, loneliness or regret or doubts or questioning or however you want to call these feelings and thoughts that visit us every now and then is the fact that I have found a love for pets. I didn't grow up with pets, and I started taking care of pets 2.5 years ago when I started doing house sitting with my husband as part of our nomadic lifestyle. And I have fallen in love with the dogs and cats that I've taken care of. And this has been such a new thing for me that makes me very it makes me feel very nurturing, and it brings out that part of me, like the maternal instinct, the maternal feelings, or however people want to call it, towards pets, towards dogs and cats. And it makes me question sometimes, like, oh, is this because I would actually enjoy having a kid, I would actually enjoy raising a kid and loving a kid and caring and nurturing a kid, which is so funny because I have another friend who gave birth last year, and she was on the fence for a while. And the reason why or one of the reasons why she decided to actually go for it and have a kid is because she got a dog. She had a dog with her husband for a few years, and the dog brought out that nurturing instinct, that nurturing feeling in her. And she fell in love with the dog. She fell in love with caring for the dog. And she felt like, oh, it makes me want to have a baby. I feel like it will be more of this. And she had the baby, and of course it's not the same. She's tired, she's having a hard time because it's a new experience, of course, like most moms. She loves her baby is beautiful. Actually, I got to hang out with them. I spent a whole day with them. I had the baby most of the day with me, and he was so cute and so well behaved. Barely heard him crying at all the whole day. So beautiful kid. She's in love with him, of course, but she definitely now can say this is not the same thing at all. Right? And if you have had experience taking care of kids, it's not the same. I know a lot of us, child-free women who love pets and have pets feel or can feel that strong love for these animals. And that is beautiful. And it could make us question, does this mean that I should be a mom? And at least for me, the answer is No, it's not the same thing. It's okay to be nurturing towards other things. Loving and caring, it's not restricted to the experience of having and raising kids. There's so many things in this world that needs our love and our nurturing and our care, and it's so crazy that society and people try to push the narrative that having kids is the absolute only way of experiencing this nurturing side of us. It's not. It's not. There's so many things that are waiting for our love and our care and our attention. And we get to do that, right? We get to give it to other things and other relationships besides or beyond parenthood. So I don't know what my objective with this episode necessarily was, other than talking about taboo things for us child-free women, talking about these thoughts and feelings that we experience sometimes for no specific reason. They just happen. And I think the shame can come from not having safe spaces or people to express this and be okay with the fact that these questions and these feelings will come up and they will continue to come up, right? In my experience, the thing that has helped me the most is accepting these feelings as a part of my human experience as a woman and as a person, as a human being. Taking the time to grieve these other versions of myself that I won't get to experience, whether I've chosen intentionally that I don't want to experience them or I just couldn't experience them for some reason, I still feel like taking the time to grieve them, to properly grieve them, is very important, right? To feel, to talk, to express, to write down the things that we feel about not having that experience be part of our this lifetime in our life journey. And then making the best out of the life that I've chosen. There's so much possibility in this child-free life. Oh my God, so much possibility. And giving it my best without torturing myself with this constant questioning, right? Every time a thought comes up or someone says something or I watch something online, not giving it more time than it deserves, right? I think that making that choice of actually shutting that door completely is so important, because if we stay in the doorway, if we stay in that, oh, but what if, oh, but maybe, should I, if we stay there, we cannot give our life, the life that we've chosen, all of us. We cannot give it a fair chance to be an amazing, extraordinary life, because our energy is finite, and our attention, energy, time is finite. And if it's divided, between what if and what is, we cannot go all in either direction. So if you consciously, intentionally have made your choice after, all the thinking, all the journaling, all the therapy, all everything, and you still have fear, that's okay. That's normal. Don't let fear means that you're questioning your choice. Don't let fear take more time out of your life, the life that you currently chose. Shut the door, so whenever these thoughts, questions come up, you can process it faster, right? You can be like, yes, this is a thought, it's normal, I'm human, I might feel scared, sure, these feelings are temporary, I know what I've chosen and the reasons why I've chosen this life. Let me focus back on that so I can continue building a beautiful, satisfying, happy, joyful life. So again, the objective, the goal is not to make these thoughts disappear. They won't. It's not to make them mean anything good or bad. The goal is to process them faster, because the faster you process them, the faster you can go back to continue building this beautiful, amazing, extraordinary shelf-free life of yours. So I guess that was the objective of this episode. I hope it's been helpful. I hope it's been a good reminder that I think all of us need every now and then to continue trusting in yourself, continue trusting your instincts, your inner knowing, and continue remembering that you are a child-free goddess and you are the only expert of your own life. You know yourself better than anybody ever will. So trust yourself, trust your inner knowing, and go all in the life that you've chosen. Bet on yourself, and don't let fear or questions stop you from giving your current life everything you got. I'll see you next week. And remember to check out the Substack page for the Childfree Goddess. We're new there, and I hope you enjoy that new home for our Childfree Goddess diaries. And for any other resources, check out my website, childfreegoddess.com.